So back and forth on that. I kind of want to see what's going on.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Transportation, Airports, and Public Works Committee meeting. Our goal is to ensure excellent infrastructure that is well maintained and operated. I like to see. That's our mission here. Council members Kassaw and Council member Lawson are online. Good morning, and welcome everybody. Thank you for taking time out to be here today. The first item is the approval of the July 17th minutes. Are there any changes or additions or omissions?
No changes for me and I approve.
And seconded.
Okay, so moved, they are approved. So any consent items that I'm not aware of that we need to bring forward? Okay, seeing none, we'll jump right into general business. The first item is item 4A, the IGA with E470 Authority and Guardrail Bridge expansion over E470 project. Kathleen.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Valencia, the Transportation Project Delivery Manager, Public Works. And today my topic will be the E470 and City of Aurora construction bridge expansion IGA for Gartrell. I messed that up, my apologies. This is for the maintenance IGA. Just a quick overview of the project. This is the Gartrell Bridge over E470 out in Southeast Aurora.
Sorry.
The scope of the project is to expand the 2-lane bridge to a 5-lane section. It includes multimodal improvements and new traffic signals that are up and running actually. Our anticipated schedule is to complete the design this fall and start construction in the winter. The agreement with E470 is for E470 to provide 20% of the construction cost and Saria to provide 80% of the construction cost. And I just want to point out that E470 has been a great partner throughout this project. We're really excited to work with them. And this is the maintenance exhibit that we've put together with E470, just a high level of the maintenance responsibilities. City of Aurora will maintain traffic signals, concrete medians. We're responsible for snow and ice removal, pavement maintenance, guardrail and streetlights. E470 will be responsible for the storm infrastructure, the bridge structure itself, underdeck lighting, and the bridge rail. So this exhibit really lays out everything in case there's issues in the future, and we can work with E470 on that. So the question before TAPS, does TAPS approve the resolution and intergovernmental agreement between E470 and City of Aurora to move forward to the next available study session?
Thank you, Kathleen, for that wonderful presentation. Council members Lawson or Kassaw, do you have any questions regarding this presentation?
I have a question. I approve in moving forward, but my question is who the individual Saria who lives out there in Arda, are those homeowners paying for this because they live out in that area? The individuals, the new homes and all of that, because this is part of the Saria, and also it's not part of the Arda, but the Saria, are homeowners paying for this as well that move out into those areas?
Yes, please.
Cindy Collip, Deputy Director of Project Delivery for Public Works, and the Saria South Aurora Regional Improvement Authority was formed back in 2018, and the goal of that was a combination of developers and HOAs coming together to pledge their Aurora Regional Improvement Mill Levy so that we could bond for these projects. So the ARI, Aurora Regional Improvement Mill Levy, is helping to fund these projects, and that is coming from the homeowners HOA in that area.
Okay, are homeowners aware of this, that they're paying into this?
Yes, we've had multiple conversations. It goes through, when we went through this whole process, granted it's been a bit, we did go out and meet with all the different HOA boards to get approval to move these items forward.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted to make sure that the public knows that this particular improvement, which is needed, that homeowners are paying for this when you move out into those areas. So I hope that this never turns into a toll. If it does, the residents definitely should get free tolling. I know it's not going to be that, but you know, if they're paying into something like this, just making the public aware of who's actually invested into this as well. So I approve it moving forward. Thank you, Chair, for letting me address that question.
No worries. Councilmember Kassaw, do you have any questions and do you approve?
None for me.
Okay, with that said, so we shall move forward.
Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, next up is item 4B, resolution for the IGA with CDOT for maintenance portions of State Highway 30 and State Highway 40. Who do we have here? Kurt?
That's me.
Fantastic. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kurt Muehlmeyer, Deputy Director of Public Works Operations, and I'll be presenting this item here as soon as I get my screen up. There we go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, so this is a proposed IGA. It's a maintenance IGA between the Colorado Department of Transportation and the city of Aurora. So this IGA is essentially a mechanism to allow the city to provide maintenance services to 3 sections of state highway. Those sections are State Highway 40, which we know is Colfax Ave, from Yosemite to Tower Road. The other one is State Highway 30. We know it is Havana from Parker Road to 6th Avenue. And the last section is State Highway 30 from 6th Avenue from Havana to Airport Boulevard. So what maintenance include in this IGA is snow removal, patching, sweeping, trash removal, basic maintenance functions. What is important to note here is what it doesn't include, and that is any type of major rehabilitation. That is not included as part of the scope of this intergovernmental agreement. In return for us providing these services to the roadways, CDOT has agreed to reimburse us. This is a renewal IGA as well. I should have mentioned that. So the previous term was October of 2020 to September of 2025. The new IGA has the exact same scope as the last one. They have increased the fee schedule 5%, as you can see in the bottom there. So the first go round in 2026 will receive $171,000 in change. And then the fee increases 5% year over year until it expires in 2030. So with that, does the committee support moving forward the resolution for the IGA between the city of Aurora and CDOT for maintenance services for State Highway 30, Parker Road to 6th Avenue, State Highway 30 from Havana Street to Airport Boulevard, and State Highway 40 from Yosemite Street to Tower Road to the next available study session? I would be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for that brief and concise report, my dear sir.
You're quite welcome.
Councilmember Lawson and Kassaw, do you have any questions regarding this presentation? And are you in favor of moving this to study session?
I'm in favor of
Yes.
moving it forward.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Okay.
gonna second it.
All right, fantastic. Well, with that said, it shall move forward to study session.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much, my good sir. All right, next is 4C, intergovernmental agreement between the city of Aurora and the Colorado Department of Transportation for maintenance of the 9-mile pedestrian, okay, for the bridge that has not happened yet. So let's.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
Who's
happen.
doing this? Oh, that would be, who's doing that?
That would be me.
That would be Brett.
So trying to get my screen.
All righty.
Here we go. That's so yes, I'm Brett Van Wart. I'm an engineering supervisor under Kathy and TPD, so Transportation Project Delivery. I'm also the project manager for the 9-mile pedestrian bridge. And yes, we're here to present both that IGA, that maintenance IGA that we're doing with CDOT as part of this project, as well as give you guys a project update.
Fantastic.
So yeah. Maybe. There we go. So just quick overview here. I think most of you guys are familiar with the fact that we had a design that we went out to bid a couple of years ago, that when we received those bids from industry, we were way over budget. So we had to take the last year and a half to redesign, change the scope of the project, and do some further evaluation, and find additional budget as well. And so let's present that. Whoop, let me go back. Yep. So here are some renderings for the current design. We are in final design. We are at the final stage of final design, what I would call 100% design submittal. We just resubmitted it to Amanda, in fact, yesterday for, to address some of my comments we received, the last submittal. CDOT's also taken a second look at this second submittal. So we're in the middle of all that. As you can see from these renderings, we have integrated art with public art with Roberta's team. And we have the significant changes in scope from the last design where we took the steel arch away from the bridge to reduce cost, as well as removed elevators. There were other complications with the elevators on the project as well. So it will be an ADA requirement to have certain slopes on those ramps so that we can still serve mobility impinged folks. So we also are planning on installing security cameras after we build the project, working with IT to integrate some of those features as well. And that's about it. You can see also another enhancement that you guys might have not seen on the other presentation back in October was we're going to try and color those columns as well as part of the art integration. Some more visuals for you guys. We had to work with CDOT on the arrangement of the colors on the bridge. They did not want to see the greens in the middle of the bridge. They thought that would be a distraction to traffic signals in the background at Peoria intersection there. So we revised our plans to accommodate that concern. And there's the colors on the ramps as well, columns there. As for an updated schedule, like I mentioned, we are currently in final design. We have a lot of agencies we're working with to review our plans. And these plans are out with all of those folks. So RTD, CDOT, Federal Highways, once CDOT kind of gives us a thumbs up that they like what they're seeing, they will give it to Federal Highways, which is about a 2-week review for them as well. But we're getting comments back already from CDOT, so we know we have at least another submittal back to them. And then our goal is still to get this out on the street to receive bids from contractors this fall. We anticipate winter timeframe by the time we get a contract with the selected contractor that they'd be out there starting work. So we think that 18 months is a good window for them to get this done in. They might even be able to get it done sooner.
That would be great.
Yeah. Budget update. So just a quick overview of our current cost estimates on this, as well as the various sources that we've cobbled together to help fund this project. As you can see, we had original grant funding. We revised that grant. Actually, Dr. Cog helped us revise that grant. We had an overmatch from the original grant that now we kept for the project to help fund it. We have since pledged an additional $4 million to help pay for the added cost of this type of project. Roberta's folks, they've brought obviously some budget to help with the aesthetic enhancements. We also solicited additional money with federal money with earmark funds from our representatives as well. We were successful in getting that amount there, $850,000. And we are also working with the adjacent development there with AURA to help reimburse the city as well with the funds that they're attaching to that development side there, as well as SLURF funding, city SLURF funding that we got added to the project.
Yes.
I don't know the
Exactly.
acronym, but it's the city COVID funding, and Laura might be able to actually know what SLURF stands for.
Pop quiz, slurf.
Yes.
For the last budget item sources. It's the COVID money.
That is congressional earmark.
Not the CES, that's the 850, so the 650 at the
very
bottom of the top.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
can tell me later.
Yeah.
It's the.
You can tell me later, that, because these acronyms, they just, you know, they just get me every time. Smurfs.
Believe it's from the city's
The
COVID.
American Rescue, ARPA?
Yes,
Yes,
ARPA,
that's the ARPA money.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That you all approved at the spring workshop last year to do the ramps instead of the elevators.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
Can I just,
Yeah, ambush you when you work.
yeah, you just come in and we
Sorry,
just.
apologize.
Can somebody talk to me about the sloping of the ramps? I've gotten a couple of emails, very contentious,
Yes.
concerned emails about the ramps and the ability of people with mobility issues, i.e. wheelchairs, navigating those ramps. Can we talk a little bit about that? Can we go
Yeah.
back to that slide?
That one, I
Yeah,
think.
that one.
That Yeah, to be ADA compliant, that means it does accommodate folks with wheelchairs, folks with walkers, folks with canes. And so the ramps are designed to meet the ADA requirements. We're slightly, I think the ratio is 1 to 12 or 8.33%. If you want to be technical, we're right at 8%. So we're under that threshold to be ADA compliant. If you try to, it's a balance with this, because if you try to make it even flatter, then you're making a longer structure. We have site constraints on that. You're also adding physical distance. So those folks have to
Right,
walk when you
right.
make it flatter. So you could be adding another ramp level if we make that any flatter. So it's a site balance that our engineers went through to optimize that design, and meeting that minimum worked well with our budget constraints as well.
And Brett, I think there's also landing areas, right?
Yeah, so I think it's like every 30 inches of rise in elevation, you need a basically flat landing, 1.5% slope.
So people could rest
So
or.
people
Yeah,
can
so-
rest, gather themselves before
Yep.
moving on to the next 30 inches.
Are there grab bars or railings or
So,
there's? So I just for the edification of those who may look at this later and want to, and have questions about it. So there's gentle sloping with landing areas, grab bars, all the way up to the top.
Yeah.
Of the structure that leads to the bridge, and
Yeah.
then you go across from there.
Yep.
Okay,
And then you'll see at the bottom right there, we are going to be building stairs as well for those who want to get up quicker, down quicker. On those stairs will be bike trough as well, so people can easily push their bikes up the side of the stairs.
fantastic. Thank you for answering.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the uses, again, so the construction costs, we have design costs for our engineers and architects. There's a fair amount of contingency we think we have on the project. We're gonna know a bit. We think we have a better idea of costs this time. But I don't have a crystal ball, so we've got contingency there, hopefully enough if prices are slightly higher than we think. And that's the project budget. So for the IGA hand, this is the exhibit to that maintenance IGA with CDOT. We already signed an IGA when we accepted federal funding that we would own and maintain the work associated with that, so the improvements. This further defines those responsibilities, so it's a supplement to that agreement. We're telling CDOT we're gonna own and maintain the bridge structure, the landing structure. There are elements that we had to modify to get the bridge over the highway, such as their big overhead sign structure. You know, highway ahead, turn here, that we're moving that. We had to improve the median. So the area in orange there. And a little bit, the drain that's coming off the bridge that captures the roof drainage system. There, that line in green on the left side ties into the back of CDOT inlet. We said, nope, that's still your inlet, right? So we put that in there, said the pipe is ours. So just minor clarifications on what it is we're moving and maintaining CDOT. So
Will
it's a
they be-
requirement now that they want us to do these for every federal project.
Okay. So will the signage be the same or will it be electronic signage?
It's the same sign. We just are moving out of the way of our bridge now. And the site, we've looked at the site distances and everything too, and CDOT agrees it's adequate.
Okay.
So we'll just be moving it further south.
Chair, can I ask a question while we're on this slide, please? On
Certainly.
responsibilities, if you don't mind.
Certainly.
I'm glad you have the responsibilities because this addresses some of my questions. Who's going to be responsible for the cameras and that kind of activity? And if there's any type of, I know we'll work with the Aurora Police Department, there's this type of illegal activity, but who's responsible for the maintenance of the cameras and making sure that they're working?
Yeah, that's a great question. And since we're installing the cameras after we build this project and after we close it out with CDOT, I didn't include it in the IGA with them to make that clear with them. But yes, it's inside the bridge. It'll be integral to the bridge. It is an item, I do mention it in the verbiage of the IGA, so they're aware that cameras will be added. And it is the city's responsibility, and I'm coordinating with IT to install that. We're gonna be working with their vendors to install the actual camera system as well.
Okay, well, can I just ask a follow-up question? Will there
Yeah.
be something to think about with APD being able to, this bridge is fantastic, but that area, they have a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I pass it every day.
Yep, and
I mean,
IT
they have a
telling
lot of
me-
stuff going on in the
Yeah.
area. So people sleeping on, just all kinds of stuff. I've seen a couple fights, just coming home, whatever. They have a lot of stuff going on. So my whole point is, will APD be able to log in or be able to have some access if there is some type of criminal, something that goes on into the bridge, somebody's walking and they may get accosted by somebody or just something that may happen. I hope it doesn't, but you never know.
Yeah, that was a main concern of the projects. IT's telling me it will integrate to their system. So they
Okay,
will have access to those cameras.
okay.
Yes, obviously we have our E team, we have our proactive teams in terms of DART, our PAR officers, so we're fully aware in terms of all that activity that's taking place up on that Colfax corridor, particularly around that area there. And it won't be a problem at all in terms of our team, a real-time information center, to be able to log into that and or the office, actually out working the ops, have accessibility to be able to, effectively deploy on those operations.
Anything else, Councilmember Lawson?
Yeah, just one other question, Councilmember Hancock. I'm sorry. So one other question I have is, that area, CDOT is responsible for a lot of the trash that's underneath the underpass. And I know that's part of Ward 5 going into Ward 4. That's a whole different subject, but it's still a subject. Will they be responsible for, by the bridge, as you go upstairs, do all that? Are they going to be responsible for picking up the trash like they don't do underneath the underpass, which is disgusting? Every single day you look at that, it gets worse and worse and worse. And when the wind blows, it blows up against people's vehicles. So are they going to be responsible when they go up the stairs, or is that going to be that surrounding area where people are just going to throw garbage? Is that going to be the responsibility of the city?
That's a good question. The trash removal associated with trash on the structure is going to be city responsibility.
I'm talking about around the
but
structure. So around the
folks-
bridge, around the stairs, that's going to be the city, right?
Within the Parker Road corridor, that's still going to be CDOT. We're not affecting those previous responsibilities. Where we land outside of that corridor on each side, I'm in the middle of getting agreements with RTD regarding maintenance responsibilities. We're executing a license. Part of that is also a discussion on who's maintaining what. They're going to be taking over still the landing improvements. So everything above grade that starts is still city. Everything that we're doing to modify their landscaping, anything having to do with their plaza area is still them.
Okay.
To own and maintain.
Okay.
On
Well,
the
thank you for
north
that,
side,
because that's important for the council members, whoever. I report CDOT, they don't pick up. It's disgusting underneath that underpass. It's so disgusting. And I tell the city, you know, and oh, we're gonna try to do something and whatever, but it's disgusting. And I'm just wondering how that whole area around there and who's responsible. So thank you for addressing that question as well.
And the north side, just to clarify that as well, that's going to be a special district, improvement district there too. So we're working on an IGA with that developer to encompass those responsibilities as well. But they're going to be building the plaza area around the landing structure. Yeah, so it'll be their responsibility for that IGA to also maintain that plaza area as well as part of that development.
Any other questions? Councilmember Kassaw, do you have any questions regarding?
No, Councilwoman Lawson did cover it well, so I don't have, thank you.
Okay. I guess we can move on. Yep. Oh,
So yeah, first item, thank you guys for asking questions as we go, so that's good. Let me know if you have any more. But yeah, basic question, do you guys approve the maintenance IGA with CDOT to move forward? And we're also requesting that we skip study session, move to regular. It is a kind of a time sensitive thing. CDOT's informed us that they'd rather not allow us to bid this project until this is executed. But they are willing to, as long as progress is being made, to let us bid it, but they won't allow us to award the project until this agreement is executed.
okay. With that said, Councilmember Lawson or Councilmember Kassaw, do you have any other questions that weren't covered in the presentation? And do you approve us moving this forward and just skip study and go to regular council meeting?
No questions for me, and I approve it moving to council meeting, regular council meeting.
Yeah.
Councilmember
Moving forward
Kassaw.
to, yep, moving forward.
Okay.
Second.
All right. With that said, that's the direction. We will go straight to council. Okay? Fabulous. Good job. Thank you so very much. All right. Transportation safety update. That's me. And somebody else. Who else? Who else is helping me? Carly? Carly.
Yay.
And APD. Thanks,
Yes.
guys. We're tag teaming it. Fantastic. Let's go.
Good, okay. Hello, Chair Hancock. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Carly Campuzano. I'm the Deputy Director of Transportation and Mobility in the Public Works Department. This item is on transportation safety and giving you updates on some of our different initiatives we have and then future plans as well. And with me today, I have some special guests from APD. Do you all want to introduce yourselves? Is that okay?
Yep. Good morning, Commander Matt Brookbacher, Special Operations Bureau. Good morning, Kevin Barnes, Special Operations Division Chief. I don't know about Correction Deputy Chief, new title now. I don't know about special.
These are the ladies and gentlemen.
We'll work on special.
That's great. Thank you both. Let's see. All right. So here's an agenda of what we're going to cover today. So I'm going to start off with some transportation safety overview information, just some background information on transportation safety fundamentals. Then we'll go over crash data and metrics, both at the federal level and then narrowing down to the state level and to the local level. And then we'll also go a little bit in depth on the engineering, enforcement, and education strategies that we're working on and some future efforts as well. And then we will go over next steps. The other presentations were all pretty quick. I think this is going to be about 20 minutes, so just a heads up for everybody. So first, touching on what we call the 3 E's of road safety. This is a concept that was developed about 100 years ago. As a way to explain the complex relationship of different elements related to traffic safety. And so these 3 E's include engineering. Engineering is generally changing the physical characteristics of the built environment. A lot of the engineering work falls in the Public Works Department and some of the efforts we work on and a lot of things that you hear from us at the TAPS Committee. And then enforcement. So thank you, APD officers, for being here today. Appreciate it. So enforcement is more related to issuing citations and warnings for violation to encourage compliance with the law. And then also we have education, which is a key pillar. So that means providing information that improves driver awareness and hopefully motivates people to alter their behavior. And so we will be touching on that today as well. The safe systems approach is a newer concept to roadway safety that I wanted to mention. There's more information on the FHWA or the Federal Highway Administration's website linked below if you want some more on this, but it really builds off of the key foundational 3 E's that I talked about and really explains it in these 5 pillars that you see on this wheel diagram. So the basic concepts of this approach are that humans are going to make mistakes, and we should expect humans to make mistakes when we're designing and operating and enforcing roadways. Humans are vulnerable, but that also that responsibility is shared. Responsibility isn't just in one group or department or agency. Road users need to be safe, vehicles need to be safe, people need to drive at safe speeds, and we need to encourage safe speeds with our designs. And then it also emphasizes post-crash care. So that's just a short overview of just kind of fundamental concepts of transportation and traffic safety. So from here, I have some slides just giving an overview on data. Each of these slides, again, has information at the bottom with the source and where the data comes from. I know people have seen there's a lot of different sources available. And generally, crash data tends to lag. So as it goes up the chain through approval. So a crash will happen, APD will respond, they'll develop a report. We on our side, on the local side, can see that right away, but it takes time to go through processes and make its way to the statewide and federal level. So sometimes there's, data can trail. So I just wanted to go over some of the most recent data that is available for everybody to have an understanding. So this data here is federal data. It's from NHTSA. NHTSA, I'm trying to define every acronym, which is really testing me. There's an acronym on almost every slide. So National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is NHTSA, so they're a national organization. This is data from them, and the key takeaway on this is really that fatalities on our roadways increased pretty significantly in 2020 and in 2021. On the national level, fatalities decreased a tiny bit, mostly stagnant in 2022, and then they decreased a little bit in 2023 and then decreased in 2024. So this is kind of whittling down further. This is Colorado data, so for the whole state. This shows 2015 to 2025. And so for this, you also see that crashes, fatalities, I should say, increased a bit in 2020, increased more in 2021 with a peak in 2022, and then they've decreased the last few years. So the 2025 number was just year to date, but if you extrapolate out and assume the same crash rate, we'd still be low at about a 4-year low on the statewide level. And then I also pulled the data for this just to compare different counties. This is a comparison of larger counties over that peak time of 2020 to 2022. This is a crash rate, so it is in terms of population to kind of normalize it and compare it against each other. So you see here, Pueblo has the highest fatal crash rate, followed by Weld County. The counties I have outlined are the 3 counties that Aurora is in. So Adams County, which is also on the relative higher end, and then Arapahoe and Douglas counties as well. So this is part of the reason why Adams County is working on the safety action plan effort that we've talked about at the TAPS committee before, and why we're partnering with them on that effort to really improve and study roadway safety. So this is specifically Aurora fatalities on our roadways. This is 2017 to 2025. So you see here that we also had an increase in 2020 up to the biggest spike we had, which was in 2023. We spiked a bit later, I would say, like a year or so later than Colorado and the federal level. There are probably some different reasons we could dig into for that spike. For example, there were some patterns of fatal crashes that happened on the interstate on I-225 that account for part of this spike. But then a little bit more positively, the fatalities did decrease in 2024, and we're on trend right now for a further decrease in 2025. But these numbers are still pretty significant. Like you still see a lot of people in Aurora dying on our roadways, which is still something we are actively working on improving and need to continue to work to lower. So the data is all pretty sobering. It's very serious data. You can see that a lot of lives are lost on our roadways. What we want do with that data to help address these patterns is really understand what's happening and then maybe the why behind what's happening. So here are some emerging themes that we're seeing both in Aurora, but then some of them are statewide as well. So fatal crashes increased coming out of COVID and the pandemic. And then the fatal crashes have been decreasing a little bit or a bit in 2024 and 2025. Seatbelt use and compliance is still an issue. Note seatbelt use and not wearing a seatbelt generally accounts for about half of all fatalities. Crashes that could have been less severe had a seatbelt been on and used correctly. Speeding is a contributing factor to fatal crashes in about 30 to 40% of our fatal crashes. And then speeding related fatalities have increased in 2021 and 2022. Impaired driving has increased steadily since 2019, accounting for about a third of fatal crashes. Distracted driving has increased as well. This is a bit harder to measure and is not always reflected in the data and tends to be underreported, probably for obvious reasons, but smartphone use has increased, apps and distraction has increased. And then young males account for a disproportionately large amount of traffic fatalities.
Guys, stop speeding,
Yes.
okay? I
Young
mean,
men.
I've noticed that has been an uptick, on a national level, not just
Yeah.
in Aurora, but nationally. Young men are more likely to be involved, and that hits our insurance premiums.
Yes.
So those folks in that age group, 18 to 45, their rates tend to be a lot higher because of these metrics that you mentioned here.
Yeah, the insurance companies definitely figured out that pattern a while ago, and that continues to be an issue. So this is digging down into Aurora specific metrics. This is just for 2024, just looked at a full calendar year of data that we have available. So speeding is mentioned in at least half of our fatal crashes. Pedestrians account for about a third of our fatal crashes in Aurora. Motorcycles were about a quarter of our crashes. Lack of seatbelt or helmet use was about a third of our fatal crashes last year. And then DUIs and impairment was about a third. This also, DUIs can be typically underreported or unknown when the first report is made. So it could be a little higher than this, especially from what we've seen looking back further. And then crashes that occur at night or in the dark are about a third of our fatal crashes in Aurora. So that was just sort of an overview of the higher level trends and what we're seeing. And that leads us into the engineering side and how we actually use this data to prioritize projects and to make the most improvements where we can. So on the engineering side, we look at the overall data, but we also dig in a lot deeper to see the trends, to see why these crashes are happening, where's the most exposure, what can we do on the engineering side to help decrease crashes and help improve our fatal and serious injury rate. So one thing that we have available is there are proven safety countermeasures that the federal government has available and reported on their website. So this is just a few of them. There's a lot more, and they're constantly updating this information. But basically, there are different strategies. There are peer-reviewed studies that say, if you install, for example, retroreflective, like shiny yellow tape around your signal heads, that decreases broadside crashes, for example. And there are studies that have studied the before and after data. And so you can see if I make this improvement, how much safety does it buy me, really? And so it's great information for us to have. And it also informs what we update our standards to. So just a simple thing like tape around backplates on signals did not used to be a standard anywhere. And now it's most agencies' best practice standard that you see in more areas. So that's a simple example. But other things like roundabouts, we've been successful in installing more roundabouts in the city. And that's because roundabouts have a really huge safety benefit. So here, it's kind of tiny on this screen, but the data from the FHWA shows that installing a roundabout can reduce fatal and serious injury crashes by 82%. So that's a really high safety benefit, but it's also a more expensive improvement. So in the engineering side, we're looking at what can we do? Will it improve the pattern we're seeing? How much does it cost? How can we program it in? That sort of thing. So also at the city, and for engineering, we're working on a safety action plan. And this is in partnership with Adams County. They're managing the project. It's also a grant funded project. Aurora is funding part of the project as well. But this is including an analysis of the whole city so that we can really understand what crash patterns are happening, what best practices and countermeasures should we apply where, what new standards should we adopt. And our goal of this is really to improve safety for all roadway users. And part of this project also includes creating a dashboard. So the draft dashboard is what's shown on this screen. It's just one snapshot, but this will help staff keep it updated to make sure that we're evaluating safety on our own in a really time-effective way more regularly. But it'll also help us report out metrics both internally and then to our council members, to our electeds, and then to residents as well. It'll help us track safety projects, do our own before after studies. And so we're really excited to get this done and think it'll lead to some big improvements for us and just also for the communication and collaboration with different folks. So this has been ongoing for almost 2 years now and it'll be complete in the spring. The traffic calming program, you all at TAPS have heard about this a lot, so I'll keep it relatively brief. But the city has had a traffic calming program since 2019. This is a program that is intended to slow speeds on local and collector roadways, so more of the neighborhood types of roadways. Council and management have given us funding each year to be able to implement projects to improve speeding, to lower speeding, and to sometimes incorporate safety projects like mini roundabouts, speed cushions, radar signs. We improve pedestrian crossings and just all sorts of things. So that's been a really great program and great tool for us to use. And then we have some additional projects. So we've talked about the safety action plan. This TAPS committee has also heard about our Connecting Aurora, our multimodal transportation master plan, which is also taking a holistic look at the city and recommending projects. That will be wrapped up here soon as well and has been ongoing. And safety is really the top thing we heard in our Connecting Aurora effort as well. And we've gotten a lot of good safety feedback from that effort. And then we've applied for and received funding for and have constructed a lot of different larger safety construction projects that are grant funded. So we recently rebuilt 5 different signals to include kind of best practice signal infrastructure to improve safety. We have a project under construction now at 11th Havana and Delmar that also includes wider sidewalks and better pedestrian crossings to improve safety. We have a curb extension project in Northwest Aurora that will be going to construction soon. Improve safety over there. The Parker Quincy Smoky Hill project, which you guys have heard about as well. And then lots of others. This was just a snapshot of some larger efforts we're working on. And then the city funded efforts as well, such as traffic calming program, additional funding for roundabouts, and then different traffic signal modification and traffic flow modification projects.
Question, Chair, for Carly?
Yes.
Quick. Can you go back to the slide? When is the Parker Quincy Smoky Hill reconfiguration? That can't come soon enough. When is that starting?
Yeah,
We
Kathy's
agree.
here.
We agree.
Please tell me, when
Kathy
is it gonna
Lawson,
start?
Transportation Manager. Yes, we are just wrapping up final approvals with CDOT and FHWA, hoping to get that out to bid in November and get going on construction in the winter.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I knew you were gonna ask about that one.
It can't come soon enough.
I know. I take that route and I'm like, oh boy, help. So, thank you.
We are ready for it.
It's now on federal highways.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
We were all excited about that project as well, and Kathy was ready to answer that question. So thank you, Kathy. So there's a lot of larger projects that we need to program in, set aside funding for, apply for grants for. That can be a really long process sometimes, as you all have seen. And so what our traffic engineering group does as well is when we review safety at an area, either based on a resident request or maybe a council request or something that we've flagged and found on our own, we take a look to see what we can do easily and cheaply and quickly first. So we don't just jump to, oh, this intersection has an issue, let's do a roundabout or nothing. We'll do other quick action improvements that relate more to the signing and striping when possible. or even changing a traffic signal phasing. If we already have hardware for it, that could be a quicker change that we can make. And we can do that using our internal staff, our internal engineers, draw up plans for that. Give the plans to either our maintenance staff, or if it's too much of an effort for them, sometimes to a contractor. But there are safety projects that we're just constantly doing that are a lot more cheap and easy to do, that are just part of our daily operation. So the all-way stop at 56 in Piccadilly, there was a broadside crash pattern. We did an analysis ourselves. We went in, did a plan ourselves, put in an all-way stop with flashing stop signs, and it helped significantly right after we were able to do that. So that's just some examples, just to let you know and let our residents know that not everything is a huge multi-year project, that there are quick improvements we're making as well.
I'd be interested to know on that Vista Peak, because I know we improved that for that turn. Now that school is back in, how that has improved the crash.
Yes, oh yes. So I'll talk about Vista Peak a little bit. So at Vista Peak, it's the location, it's what this graphic is showing. So this is off of 6th Avenue, just west of Harvest, for folks who aren't familiar. So the access to the school, which is called Bison Way here, used to be full movement. So lefts out were permitted. And there were just a lot of teenage drivers who did not have the greatest gap acceptance. And I think we were seeing, that's my nice way to say it, Brett. Brett's laughing at me, sorry, too distracted. There were probably 2 or 3 broadsides a month, which is a lot. And those are high injury crashes. There was a fatal crash where a 15-year-old turned in front of a motorcyclist. That was really devastating. And so we met with the school multiple times. Councilmember Sundberg came out with us once too. Maybe I think he came out more times than once, but we all met out there and decided the best solution would be to make it a ride out only. We would prefer to do that with curb work, but to do it more quickly, we helped just draw up a really simple plan that the school could implement since it's their own private road. So we converted it to a ride out only about 2 years ago, and it did decrease crashes right away. But there are still people who are going around it illegally and trying to make a left turn. And we have seen that. Our group has done site visits this week, and some people are still doing that. APD has gone out to help. When APD is out there, compliance is a lot better. But I guess they don't want to sit out there forever for some reason. Sorry.
Don't worry, we'll talk about those reasons.
Yeah. So there are, so in the meantime, it improved safety. So the school actually helped with funding to make it a permanent solution with a raised island. So it's a lot better now because people aren't knocking over the curbs and delineators and all the temporary solutions, but there's still some compliance issues. So we're still looking at some quicker action things that we can do to solve that. So anytime we do a safety implementation, it's always important to follow up, looking at the crash data, but also sometimes you have to do a site visit to see what's actually going on out there. So it's helped, but there are still some people making deliberately illegal.
These knuckleheads.
I know, and high schools are an interesting
They're
place
special.
to test things.
Yeah, they're special.
So that's a little Vista Peak detour, but anyways, I'll turn it over to talk about enforcement a little bit now for you all, and I can, or you have it on your
Great,
screen.
yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Thank you. So one of the units under the Special Operations Bureau is the traffic section. So that's predominantly what I'm going to talk about, but it's important to know that traffic enforcement is a department-wide initiative. All right, every patrol officer, traffic officer, even our special assignments are engaged in traffic enforcement. And the numbers speak to that. We are writing a lot of tickets. We're doing a lot of stops. We're making a lot of both education and enforcement opportunities. So that's kind of what I want to talk about briefly here. So specifically, I have one team that their sole focus is enforcement. That's our motorcycle enforcement team that you guys have seen out there and probably get real nervous if you see one pulling behind you. Just like everybody else, staffing challenges, I don't have a full team. Out of the team I have 8 officers. 2 are assigned specifically to the interstates. Their sole job is to work 225 and 70 and conduct enforcement and response out in those locations. Updated number on those traffic stats, it's actually more than that. We've issued 5,791 summonses year to date. That's just my traffic team. That is not the entire organization. Just the last, so June and July of this year, departmentally,
Just those 2 months, we issued almost 3,200 traffic tickets, over 5,000 traffic stops.
Jiminy crickets.
So I use that as a reference to indicate there is a ton of enforcement going on, right? We are doing a lot of enforcement out there. Unfortunately, what we're finding out is that enforcement and fatal crashes are not inversely proportional, right? I can do a ton more enforcement, but fatal crashes aren't necessarily affected by that enforcement, right? And that comes into the education that Carly and I are going to talk about a little bit more later. In 2024, the traffic section implemented a strategic plan focused on being very data-driven, which is why I have all these numbers here. They help us determine where we need to place our assets, where we need to conduct more enforcement. Specifically, we look week to week as where our top 5 crash locations are. We share that information with the districts as well for proactive enforcement. Unfortunately, what happens is we play whack-a-mole, is we will conduct enforcement at that location. That problem will go away for 2 weeks, and then we have crashes back at that location. Some of that is just intersection related, people's behaviors. Phones are a huge issue. We see a lot of rear-end crashes. We see a lot of people trying to beat the light, and that's where we have those more high-speed serious accidents, where we see serious bodily injury or fatalities. We also conduct large-scale monthly operations. We just did one yesterday, which was specifically focused on pedestrian vehicle interactions. And we actually wrote several summonses on that. We wrote 22 pedestrian violations alone, 6 other summonses. We actually made 4 arrests in regards to that too, for warrants and other associated behavior. So we are very aggressive in our enforcement. And it's holistic. We bring everybody together to do that. It's not just my traffic folks. We have PAR, DART, and other units to try to accomplish that task. Next slide. Okay, SOS. So this was an initiative we created last year, specifically to go after street racing. The council members know our enforcement of street racing has gotten a lot more aggressive over the last several months, starting in May. We are seeing a drastic reduction in street racing activity in the city because of that aggressive enforcement, seizing people's vehicles. It's working. And I was out Sunday night specifically with our SOS team. Those groups didn't come into Aurora. Denver, Littleton, Commerce City, they didn't come here.
That's what I like to hear.
So it's working. We continue to deploy those assets. We continue to be very aggressive in enforcement. And those are 8 extra uniformed members that are out on Sunday nights to assist with call volume if we don't have street racing activity as well. So that's been very, very effective. Grant funding is a big thing for us. Last year or each year we had, this year was almost 300,000 in grant funding. We use that specifically for enforcement. So part of that is a speed enforcement grant that our motorcycle officers will work generally on weekends and their time off, and they will write more summonses in high trafficked areas. We also have a DUI grant, and then the pedestrian safety grant is a really big one. That is through CDOT, and we have officers that specifically go out to Colfax, Savannah, places where we have a lot of people that are crossing, not at crosswalks, running in front of vehicles, things like that, conducting in education with these people. It's not an enforcement grant, it's an education grant. We're using that very effectively. We will be using all of those dollars this year. And then the PIO is a big one. We're actually doing a media presentation today about trying to combat some of this pedestrian vehicle interaction. And it's both, right? An operator of a vehicle moving at 40 miles an hour and somebody just steps off a curb right in front of them, it's very hard for them to avoid that accident. So it's a balance between the operators and the pedestrians of trying to both be safe and recognizing the dangers associated with both actions. Okay, automated enforcement. Council members are familiar with this. We've been working very hard about this new photo speed enforcement program. Lieutenant Amsalu specifically has taken this on, and we're going to have 2 automated devices. They'll go live with a 30-day warning period in October. This might be pushed to November because of some issues with the vendor, but we're working hard to clean that up. And then violations will start in 30 days after that initial starting period. It's going to target vehicles traveling 11 miles an hour or more above the speed limit, and it's going to be focused on residential, school areas, parks, work zones. 35 mile an hour or under speed zones is where those vehicles will be deployed. And then the fines, $40 state capped, $80 in school and construction zones. And then any violations over 25, a summons has to be issued by an APD officer. So then we would go out and follow up with those things. Any question about any of those things or any other information?
Amanda, I have a
enforcement?
question. Barbara, I have a question for you. So I'm fantastic. You guys are doing a fantastic job with all of this. And I guess the question with the photo speed enforcement, I know they have to specifically go in those areas right now. Do you think that maybe eventually, or does it take funding to maybe put one that's in a location, a hot spot that's on Chambers and Smoky Hill? And I know I'm talking about Ward 5. I'm just talking about that. Put something there where you could kind of see how people go through, you know, how fast they go on that road or something like that. Could that be something that will eventually happen? Because right now, I'm just letting you know, like, yellow lights mean nothing anymore. I mean, I know we don't have the red light and all that, but yellow lights mean nothing. People just fly through yellow lights. But is there eventual idea with the city growing like this and with the speeding occurring to maybe put something like that, like on a Chambers where it's a hot spot where people do speed, where you can maybe get some people as well?
So the 35 mile an hour or less speed was actually a passed through council. So that was that's an ordinance issue. If you guys would like it to be for higher speed zones, that would have to be readdressed through council to do that. Right now, we're beholden to the 35 mile an hour or less for deployment of these resources. And then to your question about actually determining what speed is, both Carly's team and our team have equipment we deploy out on these streets to determine what an 85th percentile speed is, and that helps us determine enforcement. And I believe you've seen several of those data reports. I know I provided a few to you when I was down at District 3 about perception versus reality, about how fast cars really are traveling versus what complaints may be, and if it's an enforcement opportunity or not.
So is Smoky Hill is, I think, what is the speed on Smoky Hill?
40 miles an hour.
40 miles, but people are doing 30 over. I mean, that is happening. You know what I'm saying? People are speeding down that road. Luckily, we have some stoplights. So you're trying to say with this, I know we approved that, what that would be something that council could look at or whatever, but would it be more money for that? If council looked at major, like maybe not a major, like a quarter, maybe it could be Havana or whatever, where there's a hot spot where there's a lot of speeding in that area. Is that something that it costs?
It would be to have more equipment and more equipment
Okay.
deployed. As we've talked about, as we presented the photo speed enforcement, the plan for this is to be cost neutral, right? And we're covering that VHB employee that's going to manage this, and the system should cover itself with its own costs versus
Yeah,
the
and I
previous time we
appreciate
did
the
it, where it actually cost us.
residential, but a lot of this stuff, and Ward 5 goes through major corridors. You know, we have Quincy, we have Smoky Hill. I know Parker is a state highway, but Chambers, and so there's accidents. And the accidents are pretty bad when they have them, even if people survive those. So just curious on that issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we roll this out, we're starting with 2. I'm hoping that the data supports the higher deployment of this, and we can come back to council and talk about the successes or the failures that we've had and maybe expand this program. Because it is generally a people problem, right? How many officers do I have that can be dedicated to enforcement? And then how many enforcement locations do I have? And those enforcement locations are everywhere in the city. So it's a matter of going to where the biggest locations are. And specifically, you know, I'm looking at our hotspots of our top 5 locations. And this currently right now, it's Parker and Peoria, Smith and 225, 17th and 225, which continues to be a problem, Mississippi at 225, and Alameda at 225. So what you're seeing, these are almost all intersection related, right? And it's a large volume of traffic that we're seeing there. So the vast majority of these accidents are not serious bodily injury accidents. These are property damage accidents. That's what we see throughout the city as the majority, right? But the really bad ones are the ones that we're most concerned with. Fender benders are going to happen. The human error will always be there. We're worried about those high speed events.
Can I ask,
Yes,
Councilwoman?
Councilmember Kassaw.
So, first and most, and thank you so much for, the hard work. You say 22 violation for the pedestrian issued. So I feel like this year we have a lot of pedestrian accidents. So do we have some kind of numbers? How many accidents this year we have with the pedestrian?
Yes, let me,
I can pull that up. I have a few more slides to cover too. Maybe while you're
You have
looking
that on
for
that
that, I can go over just only a few more on like education and next steps, and then I can pull up the data too. I know Amsler sent that to us.
okay, yeah, I have several things up in that one data point I don't have up. I can tell you that 24 to 25 right now, we're down 12.5% on our fatal accidents at this point in time in the year. So
That's for pedestrians.
that is overall, all fatal accidents in the city, we're down 12.5%. Pedestrians, and I know we have that in here, is
We've had a
also
few
down.
lately that have really caught the headlines.
The pedestrian crashes have caught the headlines lately, but I think they're either the same or a little lower than last year. We'll confirm the actual numbers, but they're not higher this year. And again, not that that's a good number or anything, but I don't think they're higher.
They're not, I know that they're lower currently than they were last year, and we are on pace to continue to be lower. Unfortunately, and it's really hard to explain because there's no scientific reason for it. We tend to have these things in clumps, and it happens every summer. We will have a run of really bad incidents. And it's specifically with traffic. My traffic investigation team, we had 3 fatal accidents in 3 days, one weekend. Those guys were cooked of being out there working that. As negative as that is, the good news is we didn't have anybody outstanding. All the people that were involved that were in these hit and run fatal accidents were located and arrested, right? So our investigation is doing the work. We're holding these people accountable to the best abilities that we have. But the education part is what we're really leaning into for these auto pedestrian accidents. Because the fact is, I can't issue enough summonses to get people to stop doing the things they're doing, right? They have to want to do that. They have to want to put down the phone. They have to want to use the crosswalk. They have to want to have lighting on their bikes, things like that when they're out late at night. So we're working on that awareness piece. Enforcement and holding people accountable is part of it. But it's got to be a societal change on that. Where driving is what you're doing. Right? It's not driving and eating and talking on the phone. And that's a big thing in the US. Germany, it's very different. When you drive, you drive. That's all you do. Right? Cup holders are a big thing here. They're not in Germany because of that. Right? Because we do 12 things at once and we don't do any of those things well. And that's a societal issue that we have to work on, and we're hoping to do more of that with education.
You said something about pedestrians. Are you citing pedestrians for jaywalking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's 2 in one. There's an education component that we provide, and there's an education grant. That obviously we go out and we essentially, conduct stops on individuals who making violations, and we use that as an education opportunity. And other instances where we actually do enforcement and we issue some of the things that they do. So, yes.
And that was specifically yesterday. That was a pedestrian targeted operation. It was predominantly on East Colfax. And so there was 22 summonses issued for that. There were 6 summonses issued for vehicles that failed to yield the right of way to a pedestrian or a crosswalk.
Okay. So folks should know that in Aurora, it's illegal to jaywalk then.
Absolutely.
Y'all heard that? No jaywalking in Aurora, myself included. Okay, moving on.
Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you so much. Do appreciate it.
So moving on, back to me we'll talk a little bit more about the education piece. So education is a really important component of transportation safety. There are a lot of efforts APD has been doing and moving forward in Aurora, but there are also regional efforts. A lot of them are spearheaded by agencies like CDOT or DRCOG, the Denver Regional Council of Governments, helps with different educational components as well. So CDOT, for example, has done a billboard campaign. Some people might have seen CDOT also uses their huge light up variable message signs when they don't have a different message they need to post on them. They'll use the opportunity to post messages about roadway safety. And we're continuing to work with them on some of the recent crashes that have happened on state highways and strategizing on additional education efforts. I also wanted to highlight that at Aurora, we held a transportation safety summit. Councilmember Hancock participated in that and was a strong advocate for that. The mayor was as well. The NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, came to Aurora. They have an office in Aurora. And we had a really good discussion with different agencies and a safety roundtable. There was a press release and some good engagement on safety happened just a few months ago. There is also a lot of targeted transportation safety engagement going on with our projects on Connecting Aurora and the Safety Action Plan. So we're working through engagement strategies with those. This is just showing a summary of some engagement that we're doing through the Safety Action Plan. A lot of that is managed by Adams County, but there's been engagement in Aurora as well with a lot of different community input, which has been really helpful. So this is my last slide. You've made it, you've almost made it. So I want to cover next steps and where we go from here. Transportation safety is a complicated topic. It involves a lot of different strategies, a lot of different work from a lot of different groups, including the users of the roadway network. There are strategies that we have on the engineering side and the enforcement side and education. There are things that we've been working on and are kind of fundamental that we will continue to do. But then we have new strategies and new ideas as well. And so we're packaging all of these together and calling it our Aurora Safe Streets Action Plan. And we want to work strongly on the education piece because even though we're doing a lot of great work, we're doing a lot of great projects, we're continuing to plan for and do additional things related to safety. Not everyone knows about those items. So I think having meetings like this where we can update you all and the public. We also would like to come to each ward meeting if we can, have a similar safety focused meeting to kind of get the word out and go over these things with residents. We're constantly seeking resident feedback. We want to plug our projects where we're getting feedback. We want to plug Access Aurora, which is a great tool that we have to get feedback on anything related to city operations. APD is continuing to push forward with a lot of new initiatives on their end related to safety. And then we're planning to outreach to schools in more detail as well to see how we can work that angle just with some of the recent crashes and the age of some of the teenage drivers and just kind of getting kids to learn traffic safety when they're younger. On the engineering side, what we're really a new thing we're wanting to push forward is utilizing technology to improve safety. There are bigger projects that we can do and we'll continue to budget for those and plan for those and design those. But there have also been advances in technology that we can utilize. So upgrading our hardware and our signals to be able to do this technology, upgrading our communications infrastructure to transmit data, using devices that can maybe detect vehicles before they get to an intersection, see if they're predicted to run a red light and potentially extend the red as a strategy. So those are kind of newer things that we're working towards and are going to continue to work on. Another question we have of this as well is we would love the opportunity to present this at study session for just a wider range of feedback and awareness. But I think the strong message is that fatalities and fatal crashes are definitely an issue. Statewide, federally, in Aurora, we're working to solve this issue and make the numbers go in the other direction, but it's going to be a shared effort. It's going to need to be shared between the roadway users, between public works, enforcement, and everyone else. So with that, we can answer any additional questions.
Councilmember Kassaw, Councilmember Lawson, do you have any questions or comments regarding this well-done presentation? Thank you very much.
No, none of me.
Yeah, I appreciate the presentation and I'm glad that you guys are going to the schools for the youth especially. I do have a question about lane filtering. I see it's more obstructive in Denver because of the capacity where I'm working at compared to what I've seen in Aurora. Do you see a lot of issues with that? I don't like it. I mean, I'm not the person, but I don't like the concept. I mean, it's dangerous. For example, when I was coming to work to Denver, this guy was coming through. This is the big old RTD bus, in Denver. The lane is this small. He flipped off the bus driver, hit the bus because the lane filtering, he couldn't get through as far as he wanted to. And so he got upset, and then that created road rage. So the question I have, do you think that this lane filtering, are you seeing a lot of accidents with the lane filtering in Aurora? I'm not really concentrating in Denver, but in Aurora on the lane filtering for motorcycles?
We're not. We were actually tracking that for the first several months after that, that law change went into effect. And I was expecting to see a great number of accidents. We are not seeing them.
Okay.
Specifically with motorcycles. And I know the intent behind it was so a motorcycle isn't stopped at a red light getting rear-ended. That was the intent behind creating that. We haven't seen any problems with accidents with people lane filtering.
Yeah, and just
I
a
also don't
comment.
like it, but
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it's just a comment. I just wanted to see if you would see anything with lane filtering. I think I see more issues in Denver just because of the congestion and just everything. Just a question in general, I mean, just a comment. You know, everybody, the residents, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, and this presentation was great. And I think it would be great to come to the wards and meetings to explain to the residents, because residents, when I send council requests or talk to APD, they're not thinking about data. See, you guys use data and all this. They're looking at the realities of driving on these roads, which officers cannot be at every point. Everybody has some experiences, road rage experiences, people getting mad at them, you don't know what's going to happen, speeding, people up on your bumper, people running red lights. So I think the problem with some residents, the reason why they get upset is because it's always about the data and it's not really living in the reality of how we're driving in the city. So that's just a comment. I know that you guys are doing things, but I think, you know, residents are kind of like, yeah, they don't do anything. They're not doing anything. They always got to look at data, because the reality is that although you're pulling people over, there's a reality of people doing things that they shouldn't do. Like you said, human error. So I just wanted to bring that comment in, that the emphasis on the data, sometimes residents are not grasping that. They're looking at their reality when they're driving in the city and seeing what they're seeing. People running lights, people speeding, people, you know, crashing, seeing all these crashes, pedestrian and otherwise. So that's just a comment that I want to make. But I do appreciate everything that you guys are doing to address safety in our city specifically.
Well, thank you for that comment, Councilmember Lawson. And to your point, I know, you know, reality bites when it's you. You know, when it happens to you. And I witnessed the aftermath of a pedestrian car incident just 2 weeks ago on Parker Road in Iliff, and Denver PD handled that piece. It was right there at the TJ Maxx, right there. And this fellow had on black and jaywalking and got hit by a car. And so these are the things that the education piece that you mentioned there is so important, because, you know, folks think it'll never happen to them until it does. And for us as responsible citizens living in this city, we have to be aware that we have skin in the game. And so as residents, we have to be mindful of the traffic laws. For those who are listening, that we have to be mindful that when I was a kid, we rode our bikes. We got off our bike at the light and walked it across the intersection. But I see people just zip right through on their bikes. And I have, you know, being a bike rider myself, I mean, I'm wearing all pink and almost got left turned by a truck. I'm like, I'm wearing pink. How can you miss me, right? But you have to be mindful and be very defensive as you're moving through the spaces, as a pedestrian, as a cyclist, as a motorcyclist, even as a driver. You have to think, don't assume that the other person knows what you're doing, because they don't, and then you have an accident. And so I like the work that you're doing. I like the fact that we are trying to bring a little bit of reality using the data when we're talking to our constituents, because they think, oh my God, the rules are hazardous, just driving, you take your life into your hands, which that's not necessarily the case when you look at the data. We just have areas which it's tough. Like, there's still street racing on Parker. I mean, that's a state highway and people, I mean, it's a problem that I think we're gonna continue to have. But I have noticed the decrease in that. The parking lot donut parties that we're seeing. I mean, last year, it was horrible. This year, we've seen a marked decrease in some of those things. So to your credit, I appreciate the work that you're doing. But just a reminder to all of our citizenry, you have a responsibility. You have skin in the game, and we're asking you to help us help you. You know, so that we can make our city safer to navigate on. And so thank you for that presentation. And I think it's a good idea for all of us to have this presentation probably produced in our town halls. I think it would be very important. And I know, Laura Perry, I know you guys are working with communications on a real piece for our social media so that it can go out so that people can see it and know, look, this is you, this is your part, and we expect you, or we're asking you to be good stewards of your own lives and get in on this game so that we can all be safer on the roads. So thank you so much for that presentation. That was awesome. I really did very much. Like I had something to do with it, but I really like what you did. Do we have any miscellaneous items, anything that we missed today that you need to bring up at all?
Hi, Chair Hancock.
Oh, hello, did I miss you?
Oh, you did.
Okay, well, hello, how are
I
you?
have one very quick item.
Sure.
My name is Scott Bauman. I'm the Parking and Mobility Services Manager. I co-manage with Tom Worker-Baddick in the corner there, the Shared Mobility Program for Aurora.
Okay.
And we have a quick micro mobility update. We're currently in the process of obtaining signatures for a license agreement to license Lime scooters to be in the city. So we don't quite have a deployment time yet when that will happen. But I would suspect in the next couple of months, we would be seeing some Lime scooters on the streets for mobility and transportation devices for folks in Aurora.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I thought that died a quick and painful death when that came up before.
Tom and I came to Taft's and work study about 10 months ago last year, and we kind of gave an update on the program and what we're doing. And we did mention that we did have a couple of applications that
Okay.
were submitted to us. So it's been a long process, going through some legal and so forth, negotiations with them, but we are getting closer on deployment.
That's very interesting. Councilmember Lawson, do you remember
I just want
us
to
talking
say,
about it in a study session and people were like, I hate it.
I'm gonna
and
be
so-
honest with you, I don't like it. And you know why? Because I work in Denver. It's awful. These scooters are everywhere. The drivers, you have to be pertinent. They think they have the road. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I'm sad that this is coming. I apologize, but I'm living in the reality right now. These scooters are something else. And we definitely are gonna have some complaints and some issues. That's all I gotta say on that. And I know we're in Denver, but they're everywhere, everywhere.
It's so interesting that you said that because
I don't like
someone
it.
left a scooter
I
in
don't
my
like it.
driveway this
So,
morning.
I'm sorry. Because I'm living in the reality every day that I'm a driver and everybody is on a scooter in downtown Denver. And I'm telling you, I know we're not Denver. They leave them everywhere. You got people, you got the cars, they cross the street, you got the light rail. It's something else. So I don't like it, but thank you for the update.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't like it. Good luck, police officers.
Yeah, I can see our cops going, what the
Good
heck?
luck.
Because the thing is that I thought that when we talked about it in study session,
I don't like it.
that the overwhelming consensus of the council was we don't want it because of the various reasons of those,
Safety.
you know, the safety issue, the public's appetite for it, and the only place it would really make sense would be over in the Anschutz campus for people to zip around over there. But then I can see with East Colfax being right there, this is a recipe for disaster. And so I think that's why I thought it died a quick and painful death. And so I don't know.
So Chair
You talked to me about that. Maybe I missed something.
You didn't, and Scott, you may need to refresh me, but we did
Please
come
help me.
forward. It had been some time, correct? There was a previous scooter company that
had a program here that that ended. And so quite some time had passed since then. And
Was it
so
Bird or
So
Church?
Bird was here a little
Yeah.
over a year. They were on site. The operations fell for them, the usage and so forth. They pulled out. So it has been probably 3 years since someone's been on site, but Lime has applied. And Tom and I manage it, so we try and control numbers and, we have our rules and regulations in place to, to help manage that. But it's probably not a very good update, like right behind the safety update from the employees, but.
Ignoring the concerns for council, we can bring this back.
Yeah, I think it might,
Well,
I
I
think
think you
we,
need to, and Scott, just a comment before I get off of here. I know that the intent was to put them at the TOD sites. I can guarantee you, when they come over in Ward 5, Laura, all of you, I will be contacting you to get them removed from my area. They're gonna be everywhere. I do not like them. I'm living in the reality. They're dangerous, honestly. The scooter people, they're everywhere in Denver downtown, everywhere, completely.
I think it would be a good idea
So,
to
I don't like
bring
it.
this, because the consensus, as I recall, when we talked about it, they were very passionately opposed to it. So I think it might be worth it, because I know, I see the look on your face, like,
Yep.
hey, God, I went
There
through all
was,
this trouble.
there was certainly a discussion that was unanimous to move forward with the program. This was back in
I
October.
think, and at the time we did, and I think, I now that I recall, I did say, well, that might be a good idea, but then we talked about it in study session or at some.
And that was the direction we.
Well, they were
Where?
supposed to be for the TOD sites. Let's get it clear. Not for the whole city, but I already know what that's gonna do, especially on Parker Road. They're gonna end up in Ward 5. City, get ready, because I'm gonna be contacting you to get those things removed from all of that area, period. It was for the
particular
TOD
license-
sites, I think, not for
Yeah, that's-
everywhere.
That it's citywide and it's in the right of way, so they use sidewalks and bike lanes and so forth. So we do have particular, we do request that these, are required to have at, transit stops and light rail stops and so forth, those folks. But it is a citywide initiative. When Bird was here, it mainly stayed up and down the 225 corridor, a little bit of Havana, and more in northwest Aurora for sure. It never really got down into like Saddle Rock or, the south, west or southeast side of Aurora at all. But
Of course not, it's not gonna get
We will
down in
bring this
Saddle Rock
back.
because they
Yes,
don't have
I
a
know.
major thing. It's not gonna, of course, be in Ward 6. It's gonna be in my ward, Councilmember Hancock's ward, and other people, and Councilmember Murillo's. That's where it's gonna be. That's the problem. Of course, it's not gonna be down in Ward 6. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't even
No,
make sense what you said.
I totally hear that. I totally hear that, Councilmember Lawson. And now I think about it, I think we did have a discussion about, I think it would be worth bringing it to the study session again, to talk about it.
We'll come
because-
back with the rules
Yeah,
and regulations, the summarize the
Yeah,
feedback we
I
received
mean,
from council study.
yeah.
And then also, if we're legally able to do this, give an overview of the application.
so application was submitted. We're currently gathering signatures. So the actual license agreement has not been issued. So it's
Okay.
probably very timely that
Yes.
probably within we're gathering the signatures on both sides right now for it. And then I would be executing the license.
So we are
So
gonna
I haven't
hold
executed
on
yet. I
that.
can put a hold.
Thank you, and we'll come back.
Signatures on who would,
So it's
Well, I
a,
don't want it in Ward 5. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I don't
gotcha.
want them
Oh.
in Ward 5.
we got you.
We will take direction from council on this.
Yeah, because I know, I feel you, Councilmember Lawson. I'm looking at Chief Barnes going, oh.
I got enough
He's
issues
like,
as it is.
"That's a
I
hard
don't want them in Ward 5.
Yeah.
While I'm the
I
council
appreciate
member.
that.
Future
Okay.
council members can put them in Ward 5. I don't want them in Ward 5. I got enough issues.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that passionate, there is no ambiguity there whatsoever. So with that said, we will try
Next
to
one.
apply. And then,
One more item.
And you have one
It's
more?
not controversial, I
Okay.
promise.
okay, sorry.
So just one more miscellaneous item. I just want to introduce our new employee, Gabrielle Renner. She's our new traffic manager, and I'll let her introduce herself for a minute. Not controversial.
Hi, Gabrielle. Gabrielle, nice to meet you.
New manager.
I'm really a
Budget
nice
operations.
person. I really am a nice person.
Welcome.
I really am.
I have 18 years of experience in traffic engineering. I started my career in St. Louis And then I've been in Colorado for the last 13 years. And a lot of that has been on the consulting side, but also working with the city of Aurora for that time period. So it's been really exciting. I've been here almost 3 months. And I look forward to getting to know you guys as I continue working here. So thanks.
All right,
Right
welcome.
on, thank you.
Welcome
Yeah,
to
and
the
you always love
family.
to reach out and ask questions and get to know me.
Well,
So,
fantastic. Thank you for your service. Thanks for being here.
thank you.
Okay, anything else? When's our next meeting? Deputy City Manager, somebody tell me, because I always forget.
Next meeting will be in October. We'll get, no, September.
September,
I'm like,
September.
how am I trying to get to October?
I don't know, you're trying to get to like snow time and I'm not
I think
ready.
it's the 18th.
I don't want the 18th of
18th.
September. Okay,
And-
same back time, same back channel.
And the update on Colfax BRT.
Will be on that agenda, right? Colfax View, I'm seeing it and the congestion that's happening on the other side of Colfax. Whew, whew. Anyway,
We have a different.
we have a different idea.
design.
You can definitely see the difference between what Denver does and how we approach these things. It's so dramatically different. I'm just like, hello, could you listen to us? Okay, never mind. But with, is there anything else?
And then we will bring back the rules and regulations and the Lime proposal
Yes.
committee. Yeah.
Bless your heart. I can't, I don't know what to say, but thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you. We went a little bit, did we go a little bit
No,
over?
we're good.
No, we're on time.
Hi.
All right. Throw my happy dance. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Councilmember
you.
Kassaw and Lawson.
Thank you.